I got this one from some shirtless weirdo. If whites are the most degenerate race, then how come homosexuality rates and transgender rates are higher among non-whites? Well, the previous statement I made before that one contradicts a lot. Look, I'm familiar with the polls. Oh, look, we're only 3% gay, and other people are 4% gay. Does it not occur to you that white people are a lot better at lying and twisting and spinning the truth? How many 20-something dipshits have communications degrees where it qualifies them for a career in public relations? Lying. So we're all our own little PR agents, and, when the pollster asks, do you like to engage in reckless sexual behavior? Some people, they pause. They're like, wait, yeah, I do, but I feel shame now that I'm confronted with it. So they say, oh no. But, technically, behind closed doors, they'll tell British pollsters, well, I'm not completely heterosexual. But look, we'll assume that the poll numbers are accurate, that 3% of whites are this, and 4% of non-whites are this. I've never used this angle, well, this is X is more than Y. I've never used that angle to justify my statements about how Western nations are far more predisposed towards abominations than other nations. So I'm going to use this as an example. This came from the New York Times back in December. U.S. support of gay rights in Africa may have done more harm than good. And it's a great story. I recommend everybody check this out. Just Google U.S. support of gay rights in Africa may have done more harm than good. Google that, you'll find it. I typed in gay rights backfire Africa, and this came up, so you'd search for that as well if I forget to link to it. And so there's one, I'm not going to read the whole thing here. Here we go. Since 2012, the United States officials said the American government has spent more than $41 million specifically to promote gay rights globally, along with a portion of $700 million earmarked for marginalized groups to support gay communities and causes. Let that sink in. More than half of the $700 million and $6.6 million of the $41 million was spent on sub-Saharan Africa, just one indication of the continent's importance to the new policy. And stop right now, stop writing that comment. You need to listen. I know what you're going to say. Well, America has the Obama administration. Barack Obama's black. Barack Obama is half black, half white. Ann Dunham, predominantly of English ancestry, with some German, Swiss, Scottish, Irish, and Welsh ancestry. Irish. Let's talk about the Irish. Huge Republic of Ireland vote for gay marriage. Republic of Ireland has voted overwhelmingly to legalize same-sex marriage in a historic referendum. More than 62% in favor of amending the country's constitution to allow gay and lesbian couples to marry. So, were they the first? They were the first, weren't they? Yeah, Ireland becomes the first country to legalize gay marriage by popular vote. Tell me how many African nations have done the same. Half of Barry Soetoro comes from that. You have a continent full of black heads of state. How many of them are spending money on promoting gay rights globally? How many of them are putting sham marriages up to popular vote? What about the ballerina? Justin Trudeau, is that his name? Marching in, running gleefully down the road at the gay pride parade in Canada. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. This is who Canada chose to lead them. And this is how he's behaving. He's behaving like a molestation victim who makes an identity out of it. What else? Oh, here we go. This is a fantastic one here. Loading. Amsterdam to fly gay rainbow flag during Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit. This was back in 2013. And I used to know this one fella. And he was a father, married guy, married to a woman, had 2 children. He's like, ooh, go Netherlands. Done. Bye. 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 White guy, too. It's always the white guys. talking about how oh I'm such a great ally for the LGBT always, and they have kids, and this is the shit they're promoting. That's homophobic, bro. That's hate speech, bro. You know, I never hear anybody else qualifying their statements with, well, I support XYZ, but this is just going too far. You take down your own flags. The Dutch people take down their own flags, at least in one city. Amsterdam, isn't that their capital? Or one of their largest cities, at least? They took down their own flags and put up rainbow flags, telling you what the priorities of the Dutch people are. So don't give me this bullshit about whites being less this. Because I've lost count of the amount of white people I've known and have since cut off contact with that promote this garbage. And this leads us to, in the wages of sin is news, deaths of despair drag life expectancy lower for whites. New York, from the Associated Press, AP.org, rising drug and alcohol overdoses, suicides, and disease from chronic alcoholism, labeled deaths of despair by one expert, are cutting the lives of white Americans short by nearly half a year on average. Increases in these types of deaths among whites means that life expectancy for whites is not increasing as fast as it is for other groups, according to a government report that offers an unusual look at how different threats are affecting U.S. lifespans. Things are moving in the wrong direction, said Ann Case, a Princeton University researcher of what she calls deaths of despair. Drawing from death certificate data, the new report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention focuses on what will happen to white life expectancy between 2000 and 2014. The work was a reaction to a recent research that suggested drug overdoses and suicides have caused alarming increases in death rates for middle-aged white Americans. The new report, which did not perform the same analysis for blacks and Hispanics, was posted online Friday. Overall, white life expectancy still grew because other things were improving. Deaths from heart disease, the nation's number one killer, dropped significantly, and that alone added a year to white life expectancy. Nearly one more year was added because of falling death rates from cancer, stroke, and motor vehicle crashes, the researchers found. But then drugs and alcohol subtracted about 4 months from life expectancy, according to Kenneth Kochenek, a CDC statistician, who was the report's lead author. No other cause of death had a bigger negative impact, he said. Increasing suicides had the second largest negative impact, subtracting roughly 6 weeks from life expectancy. The growing impact of Alzheimer's disease was third, reducing longevity about 3 weeks. Well, the second death comes after the first death. Rising suicide rates, declining life expectancies, declining demographics. They're all representations of that first death. The spiritual death. Whoa, you're telling me that gay people in Disney cartoons isn't a source of hope? What, you're telling me that? No, that's homophobic, bro. Says every fucking sorority, no. Yeah, sorority boys. I'm gonna call them sorority boys. In first death news, in pause load news, from 9news.com, surgical tech caught switching syringe tests for positive for HIV. Surgical tech caught switching syringes tests positive for HIV. Denver, the surgical tech who prompted blood disease testing of thousands of patients has tested positive for HIV and negative for hepatitis B and C. Oh well, at least he's negative. Hepatitis negative. No, that's great. You got something going for you. You're hepatitis negative, but HIV positive. The U.S. Attorney in Colorado announced the results of Rocky Allen's blood testing. What do you look like? Rocky Allen. Copy, paste, search. Oh, look at this guy. He's blonde-haired Ubermensch, and he's got a fashy haircut. Okay, we need to read more. What a psycho. Okay, to date, there have been no reported cases of transmission of HIV, much to Rocky Allen's disappointment. Allen is facing federal charges after he was caught stealing the highly addictive drug fentanyl from Swedish Medical Center of Colorado. Oh, God. Don't get me started on that, because I saw some other shit about fentanyl overdoses and you know, all the drug use amongst these crazy... Never mind, I'm not going to get into it. Just something I saw. Indicative of more dysfunction, but I don't need to beat you over the head with it. Investigators believe Allen may have switched needles he used to inject the drugs with needles used in operating rooms on patients. Swedish announced free blood testing for approximately 3,000 patients potentially affected by the incident. About 2,500 have taken advantage of the testing. 500 who were initially tested have not followed up on the recommended additional testing. They usually have some pretty interesting details buried down here at the end of these articles. This is nice. 9 Wants to Know has investigated Allen's troubled medical career, in which he was repeatedly hired and fired by several hospitals after he was caught stealing fentanyl. Fentanyl. Yeah, fentanyl, right? Is that how it's said? Who cares? Regardless, dysfunction begets dysfunction, and there you go. What else? Oh, here's another one in first death news. From thesun.co.uk, around the world in 80 lays, traveler who bonked her way out of heartbreak after split with long-term boyfriend. Rider swapped sightseeing for international orgy of meaningless sex with locals. Okay then, heartbroken after being dumped, Laura Jane Williams indulged her passion for traveling, but instead of sightseeing, she immersed herself in local culture by sleeping with countless men. Well, at least they're being honest now about why they like to travel. The 30-year-old rider from Derby went on a sex spree in Europe, America, and the UK, detailed in her book, Becoming, until her bed hopping came to a sudden and bizarre end. Well, now I have to keep reading. I could not go to the pub, a party or work event without looking at a man and saying to myself, that one will be the next. There always had to be somebody to take home, a conquest. I felt like an emotionally detached and liberated woman by engaging in vice slavery. Slavery really is freedom, guys. My need for meaningless sex started after my long-term boyfriend dumped me and within a year got engaged to my friend. We had been dating for 6 years and I fell off the rails. Well, this guy's a piece of shit. Let's not get it twisted here. Single mothers could not exist if it weren't for men who are average retards who live only to stick their dick into something new every other week. If you're a man who's a part of our natural aristocracy, it's far more frequent than that. But yeah, we wouldn't have these problems if restraint were exercised. So she said, we had been dating for 6 years and I fell off the rails. After he left that day, I drank a half bottle of vodka within 45 minutes, had thrown it all back up again. The heartache made me want to go and be someone else for a while. That's the every time I wanted to be someone else. You're still the same person! You're no one different. You're dealing with your problems gracelessly. That's not being somebody else. God. In a fit of spontaneity, I fled to Paris to visit a friend and had my first post-heartache sexual encounter with a hot Frenchman at a party in an apartment. Raphael made his move outside on the stairs. I knew that at any moment somebody could walk out of the apartment, but as he pulled down my leggings, I suddenly no longer minded that only a single door separated us from the party. Despite our semi-naked antics, he refused to have sex, saying, "No thanks, French girls don't do that." What? It didn't put me off men, though. The rejection didn't have to hurt. Men could be interchangeable. One man was never enough. Peers, colleagues, strangers, and friends were all potential lovers. Within an hour of returning home, I'd found another conquest and was on the beginning of an adventure. I planned my next liaison via the internet. An obvious choice now, but uncharted territory for a booty call back in 2009. I chose dating website OkCupid to meet Jay the DJ. 35 minutes later, after meeting at a bar, he was throwing me down on a Travelodge bed, hitching up my dress. I was pulled up at zips, belts, and buttons with frantic whispers, and then just like that, I was naked with a man who was not my ex-boyfriend. Unfortunately, the action was all over in 60 seconds. Turns out there's no etiquette for such encounters. You have to, in my experience, have soul-crushingly mismatched sex 4 times until 6:30 a.m. brings it with a spate of new friction burns that will take a pot of pseudo-creme to soothe. After which you can finally say, I've got an early breakfast meeting to get to, I'll text you. And this is what we have to live for. So I wonder why we're all abusing drugs and killing ourselves. This next part. Then I landed a stint in America doing writing workshops for Eastern Michigan University in high schools in Detroit. That's when I fell for 18-year-old Chad, who I liked to take control of in the bedroom. I wanted him to come over almost every night. I got antsy when he didn't text, and if he took too long to initiate sex, I'd get weird. The state of our culture. 6 weeks after we started sleeping together, I saw him with a blonde. By the time he got to my apartment minutes later, I had worked myself into a frenzy. I opened the door, pulled him into my bedroom, and threw him down on the bed. Straddling him, I said, I want you to fuck me hard like I am your whore, okay? Fuck me and don't stop. This is a sane woman. Very good example. She'll have lots of nice babies that will, this is Gen X. Maybe it's the birth control making her crazy. My sexual exploits didn't stop there. When I got back from the US, there were a lot of men in quick succession. Back in Derby, and during some teaching over the summer in Italy, it's always teachers. I'm going to teach abroad. Teaching abroad is code for, I gotta slow down. And I am slowing down with this wonderful cup of water. That's refreshing. Unlike what this woman's doing. Back in Derby and during some teaching over the summer in Italy, I threw myself into promiscuity, partly out of shame and partly because it felt good. Shame? By adding more shame to it? Reassuring to remember I could be in control. My next stop was back in Italy and more men. One was a teacher. I'd borrow the key to the school we worked in for the week, and we'd sneak in after dark and shit on the desks. It's S star star. Yeah, S star star star. It's censoring something. Why? Then there was a Big D, so-called because he was endowed with the largest, unruliest exhaust pipe of a thing I'd ever encountered. This is a wonderful publication. Great publication. Great example of Western journalism here. Men loved the pursuit, and I could make them think it was their idea. Being with them helped me feel in control. I pulled one man in a bar while carrying a tray of greasy chips. Another was a 19-year-old father of one who I had sex with every night for a month. I treated him like dirt, and when I ended it, he chased me down his road in his pajamas to tell me he loved me. Another fine example, except it's the men who are the fine example now. A 19-year-old father of one. Oh, and he had kids. This beta bitch had kids. Or at least one. He had a kid. Then I found some work in the university and went on a training weekend during which I had added another conquest to my list. At 1 a.m. I knocked on the door of a fellow trainee I'd had my eye on and said, "Hello, I've been watching you and I think you should pay me a visit in my room 342. He said, "I'll be right there." Women were not off my list either. Of course. It wouldn't be a Japheth Demoness story without some bi-curious experimentation. We had a bizarre, confused relationship for about 6 weeks, while I was also shitting men. I hope that's what it... wait, no, I don't hope. What do these censoring things mean? Why are you censoring it? You're talking about being a depraved whore all around the world, and this publication, we have to censor out the naughty words. We had a bizarre, confused relationship. I'm sure you did. Boy, we are just culture. It revolved around her being able to do whatever she wanted to me and yet I never saw her naked. Not once I wasn't allowed to touch her. Functional. I started to pride myself on keeping everyone at a distance. I was a slut because, it's slut. Slut. I get it. Why are you censoring slut? But wait, no. That last one, it says shitting men. Because it says SH ****ing. So shitting is bad and slut is bad. So she says, I started to pride myself on keeping everyone at a distance. I was a slut because none of them was the answer. I didn't want any of them to love me or treat me with respect because I didn't respect myself. I was teaching English to Italian teenagers when I finally realized I was on a destructive path and decided to change my life. So I signed up to live in an Italian convent. I moved to Chiostro di Sant'Agostino, near the seaside town of Luano in the Riviera. I thought it was a convent with nuns, but it was actually a monastery with elderly monks who took me in and helped me recover. I vowed to be celibate while I was there. It was amazing, the perfect place to heal and reflect. After my wild years of being in such a slow, easy place made me consider life. It was just what I needed. The doors were pretty much open to anybody who needed a bed. People would bring gifts for the monks and ask for help. I did too. It was mainly Romanians or Southern Italians down on their luck. I spoke with them all. Oh, now you're a virtue. Now you're so virtuous. And it maps out her whore trip. God, this is... I don't care about your living in your convent. I don't care. I don't care about becoming Laura Jane Williams, sex, and chances, and figuring out who the hell I am.